Welcome to this week's edition of HawkTalk. My name is Parker Robinson, and I'm joined by Nathaniel Easton. The basketball teams were on the road this past weekend. The men split, beating Grace, losing to Bellevue. The women were able to pull out both those games, so keep a lookout for them. But today we're joined by Coach Pete Stanton of the football team. And you may be wondering, why are we talking to the football coach in February? But signing day was this past week. So just touch a little bit on that.
Yeah, it's a long process. We're recruiting guys, really since last summer and throughout the fall. We had them in for games, and then in December and January we had about 50 young men on campus as far as taking visits, and then got us down to about our group of 30 guys that we signed. And the national signing date is February 1st, although we don't have to be on that date. It just that's kind of the way things have evolved, and that's really the way we want it to be. And we had a signing day party last week, and we're able to announce 27 new signees and have a good bunch of guys coming in.
Yep, and a good mix of guys coming from junior colleges as well as high school. What's that element, bringing in kids with experience in college already?
Well, the big thing there is we always want to recruit, but it's North Dakota first, Southwest North Dakota, the Dickinson area, and we felt we got several good guys from that area to join our team, and then we want to branch out into that 200 to 300 mile radius, and Bismarck to Billings is what we talk about, and we got some Bismarck players, we got several Billings players, and a lot of players in between, and that's always going to be the core is our area guys and our Eastern Montana, North Dakota guys with some South Dakota guys in, and then we look at it at that point. Then we're looking at position wise. Okay, where do we maybe need to have some immediate help, and that's what we're looking at with our transfer guys, and might be an offensive or defensive lineman, or maybe some skill guy. We lost several receivers this year, so we're going to be looking to sign maybe one more receiver, and that's kind of what we look at there, because we're not going to bring in a lot of transfers, but transfer wise we're going to try to bring in guys in the right position.
You explained the radius you look at, but also touch on kind of legacy players where either their dads or uncles or some had some connection to the program, or even a brother this year.
Yeah, most definitely. We always have that the situation, obviously like with Cooper Ray and Kaylor playing here, or there might be somebody who previously played for the program that recommends some guy to come here. And then, as in the case of, like we have a couple guys from Palomar Junior College in California that play on our team, and a lot of times they're really encouraging, they have a good experience here, they like our family atmosphere here, they like Dickinson, and then they're encouraging teammates to come join them. And so sometimes they help you do the recruiting, and of course, once again, it has to be the right person coming in too, no matter where he's from, but it definitely helps. It's a family effort on the recruiting.
And it's not done by any stretch of the imagination. What's kind of the goal now as you kind of wrap out the class into all the way, we've had a guy like Trey Boone show up in August sort of thing. Yep. So kind of take us through.
The goal right now is there's still some high school guys that are out there that are very good players that we've continued to stay in touch with, and a few of them are in the area. And some of them will decide at different rates, and we're not going to push them, and maybe they might wait till the season's done or whatever the case may be, and then you're right. What happens sometimes with transfer guys is maybe they're thinking they're going to go to a high level, and then things don't work out for them that way, and then we end up having an opportunity with those guys. So we just stay with those guys and stay on them, and like you said, sometimes you end up with a very good player, showing up in July.
A lot of different athletes in this class played multiple sports or currently play multiple sports since they're, and a lot of them are in high school. And you have a lot of your own athletes right now working with the track team. So touch on what you look for in dual sport athletes and being able to continue to be a dual sport athlete in college.
Yeah, we look for guys that first have won, and part of winning is being in several sports. I believe, I think we look for those guys. We like to go watch and play basketball more than we like to go watch and play football. See how they move around, see how they react, see how they handle coaching, how coachable they are. And then obviously we like the guys that are in track and baseball and the spring sports. And as you said, then we encourage guys at the college level to continue to do that. And a lot of the programs don't want them to do that. They want them all for football, but we really like them competing in several sports. We want them in track, and our starting shortstop's a baseball player, and we've had basketball players before play, and I'm all for that. I'm all for our guys competing and having a great experience at college and helping out all of our sports.
Yep. Do you think that gives you a little bit of an advantage over some other schools in the area? Say, you go and say, hey, you can play wide receiver, but then you can go play baseball in the spring. And does that give you a little up on
I think there's no doubt. A good example would be a guy on our team right now, Kane Boshi. If he can't do two sports, he's probably going to look elsewhere. He wins a conference in the North Star in the 100 and 200 last year, and he's All-American at safety. And if he can't do that, he's probably not going to be on our football team. Jay Liggins is another one. So those are two very good players,
sure.
And two good examples. I think the guys that we aren't going to hold them back from the things that they love to do, and to miss one spring football practice is definitely not going to hurt at all. There's teams in the area that are concerned about spring football. We're just not going to be. We're going to work as hard as we can, but we're not going to be tied up in that we have to have a great spring football practice. And we want our guys to be able to do other sports.
Also, with this last weekend came the awards banquet and senior recognition night. So it gives us one more opportunity. We talked about them a lot throughout the season, but just touch on what that senior class meant to the program, kind of transitioning them through into the dominance in the North Star.
Yeah, it's always a hard night it's a great night to be able to honor them, but then a hard night to see them that they're finally gone. Of course, that we've missed them the last couple of weeks. They probably haven't missed the 6 a.m. workouts, but we've missed them in the workouts, and it was nice to be able to honor those guys. And with that class, you have quite a mix. You have a class of guys that came in 5 years ago, and the first couple of years were tough for them, and they persevered, and they hung in there and did a great job. And with a mix of guys that transferred, and ultimately they all came together as one family and one group, and were great leaders. We had 4 senior captains along with many of them in our player council, and that's going to be the tough thing to replace, is that leadership that they provided, and we're going to miss them a lot.
Are there some parallels to the evolution of that class that you kind of see in the class you brought in, as far as being here long term versus the JUCO guys? Just what do you, I guess, a better way to ask that is, how do you kind of decide who's going to be redshirted, who's going to be an impact player? Does that kind of work itself out?
As far as the guys that don't redshirt would be if they're ready, if they can compete for a spot and go, then we want that competition, and we want them to be able to step in and play. But we're to the point in our program where now a lot of those guys shouldn't have to. The transfer guys probably will. We're going to recruit a transfer with the idea of immediately helping, but there's most of these guys that are freshmen this year will redshirt, and that's what we want. That's what you want in your program, is that you have a lot of juniors and seniors. And one of the issues that we have is our retention is very good, and it's a good problem to have.
Sure.
The problem with it is you have a lot of guys in your team, and trying to deal with that. But that's what we want. You want a class, so you don't want to have 27 freshmen and then 4 years later have 5 seniors.
Sure.
Like this year we have 18 seniors. Next year we'll have 21, and I believe the next class after that there'll be 25 to 30 seniors, and that's a lot. And that's a good thing when you look at the realm of things on the retention part of it too.
Yep. How big is the leadership from the seniors and the juniors to that incoming class?
Oh, I think it's big, and it's going to have to be big for this group, and we're really stressing with our guys, that are going to be seniors next year, that it's your turn now. This is your team, and it's the 2017 team, and it's all a new process now. And we picked our player council last week, and now we really expect that new group of leaders to take charge and lead us through the off season.
Now, obviously, recruiting isn't a one-man, two-man, three-man job. So touch on the staff and how they were able to get this class built, basically.
Oh, the staff works hard at it. I think people, like I told you about the process starts last year in April, and it'll start for the next year's class this year in April. We'll be out in the schools, and they do a great job with it. Coach Schillinger goes in, Bismarck and Billings area, and done very, very well there, recruiting guys. And Coach Walker's going into Montana and helping me in Montana. And Coach Schillinger and Walker and I kind of all split that up.
Sure.
And Coach Gibson goes into South Dakota, and Coach Miller takes more of Eastern North Dakota and Northern North Dakota, and then I usually take the Dickinson area, basically Dickinson to Miles City. So it's a group process, and a lot of time spent on the phone and texting and having guys in for the games, and you got to work hard at it because everybody is doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. And you got to develop those rapport with the recruits, and do you always get the guy you want? No, but you want to try to get the right person in your program, somebody who's a good student, who's a good person, who's a good and a good player on top of it.
Yeah, you mentioned rapport with the recruits, but how big is the rapport you guys make with the school counselors, with the coaches across the region?
Oh, most definitely. You have to, have those relationships, and you have to, the coaches that are out there in the high school have to trust you as a staff and trust the program, and knowing that, and the parents too. The parents, have to know that, hey, their son is going to college now, and have to be able to trust you as, you're the person that's going to take care of them, for the next 4 or 5 years, and we really stress that and want to be able to do that, and that we care about them on and off the field, and we care about them getting their degree, in priority number one, and I think that's important to the parents too.
Wrapping things up, you touched a little bit on spring ball, not your number one priority, but will there be an opportunity for the folks to catch some sort of a spring game, and if so, give a little bit of a...
Yeah, we're still kind of making the details on that. It just depends upon, as you drive by, if you drive by the BAC right now, there's still snow over the top of the fence as you're coming in, so it kind of depends upon that. We'd like to start sometime in March and finish by, the 20th of April, so, I'm guessing it'll be, Easter's a little bit later this year, right around that time period, either right before or right after Easter, where we'd have a spring game and finish up there.
All righty, Coach. Nice work getting that class. Congratulations.
All right.
And keep working.
All right, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, we'll be back after this quick break talking golf. Welcome back to Hawk Talk. This time around, we're joined again by a coach, sort of out of season, Coach Thad O'Donnell. How are you doing?
Good.
With we're trying to pretend it's not winter, the dead of winter. We just talked with Coach Stanton, who can't even see his field. I assume you can't see your course, but what is the off season like for the golf program, and how do you kind of have to get creative to keep things relatively in sync?
Yeah, in the north, it's definitely tough and challenging, although technology has helped a great deal, just because, and our rec center is primarily our go-to because they have a simulator that you hit in the simulator, and it actually gives you great feedback as far as club speed and the launch angle. It gives you a little more than, like, when you go on the range, you hit it and it goes off to the right, you got your slide. But here it actually gives you some hard data to help you make some adjustments. So that's really a good bonus. Plus, there's no wind, you don't lose a ball.
Well, that's not good practice then. I can tell you from experience that's useless if you're... Is there trees to hit into?
Yeah, we need to bring the bushes in there when you're playing. But no, in the offseason that, try to, and we actually give a pretty good break in there. In golf, in the north, we have a split season. So you have a fall season and a spring season. And the fall is great golf. I mean, it is beautiful in the fall up here. So we really do a lot of our season in the fall. And the way our conference is just formed is we have a conference meet in the fall and one in the spring, and then those two added together make up the conference championship. So ideally in the fall we get some really good meets in, and in the spring we're hoping for good meets.
Sure.
It depends on, like, this is the worst winter. I've been here 21 years, and this the most snow I've ever seen in Dickinson from the beginning of October till now.
With we talked a lot with the signing day for football. What do you have kind of cooked up for folks coming into the program this next year? And did we add one that semester?
Yeah. Recruiting in golf is tough. I did wrestling for 20 years, and golf. Everybody loves the golf. Why would you? But it's tough, especially to get good quality athletes in the north, because obviously they want to play a lot, so they'd be down south. So we really look for those individual athletes that love to compete, but don't necessarily mind the split season. And it's a building process. We don't have a lot of great scholarship amount where we're going to bring in some high quality golfers from down in Arizona
Sure.
or whatever. But I think we've done a good job. We ended up signing a young lady out of Glendive that was a Class A Montana State champ. We have a transfer that we recruited the heck out of when she was a freshman, and then she went to BSC and had a great career there, which we've seen almost every weekend at the meets, and she's coming in. So I think on the women's side, we've done a good job there. We have 3 or 4 coming in there, and then on the men's side, we actually picked up David McCormick from Dickinson here, and it's going to be a short lived. He's going to chiropractic school, so we're able to get him for a semester, and because he wanted to continue to golf in BSC Junior College, they go the 1 semester. So it'll be nice to have him in there. And you know, I think we take about 7 on each side, so it's been pretty good.
Yep. One of the things you're able to pitch, though, to the possible recruits is the Arizona trip. Talk about how fun and important that is to the team in the spring.
Yeah, it definitely, when I took over, we needed to do something that would entice some guys that were on the fence. They like to golf. They might have an offer to go south, or you know, a little further south where they can get on the course a little earlier in the spring. So we came up with the trip down to Arizona. Had a connection down there that actually they have a spare house. They put us up. They let us use the pool. I mean, it's a great atmosphere, and actually Arizona has been very good for us as far as getting onto some great courses. I send out the emails, you know, we're a small school from North Dakota, and they go, oh man, you know, we'd love to have you down here. So they really give us a great deal on the green fees, and our athletes fundraise as you guys know, fundraise the trip. So it's outside of our budget, so it's something that's fun. And then when they buy into it, it's a great experience. And some of our golfers have relatives that are down there, so we do it during spring break, so then they can continue their spring break down there, spring training camps and things like that. So it's really nice to get out down there, to get on the course right before our spring starts. Hopefully, right, it just dovetails right in. Hopefully this year might be a little longer, but
with the courses talking about, we've played in the past. One of them, the Arizona State's home course, George Washington University was actually out there warming up the same time as us, so I think they felt a little intimidated when they saw the boys from the
you guys
north.
bring that up because you guys played well there, didn't you?
Absolutely, we had a little inter-squad scrimmage, but that is something kind of interesting about golf, is you get a lot of time together on the bus and a little bit of time together on the course. You know, most sports you're practicing, you're building that chemistry in the wrestling room, in the gym, but golf, you can kind of do it on your own. So talk about the extra time to kind of be together on that Arizona trip, and how that helps build the bond of a team.
Yeah, it definitely, anytime you do traveling together, it really, that's, you know, when we go to reunions like the wrestling, they don't really talk about the competition. They always talk about the trips.
Sure.
You know, and that's the memory that is made. And, you know, and I've always talked since no regrets. You want to live for this moment for 15 years down the road and have those positive experiences. And that Arizona trip is good. We do go to Top Golf, and you get to really know your teammates. Like you said, when you're out on the golf course, you guys doing the hawk wave to each other from across the fairway. Hopefully you're both in the fairways. But
Each other's fairway more often.
But you know, that I think in any sport, that closeness that comes from competing, you know, when you're out there actually competing and have that focus is a little different than when you travel together. And the Arizona trip does a great job of, you get to know that person a little bit more, and we see it. We come back in the spring, we do those travel, then it is a little more close-knit group.
You talked about your old experience with wrestling, and you got a new role with the home wrestling meets this past year. Touch on that role and how you liked it, and if you're going to continue that in the future.
Way to put me on the spot. Yeah, no, it was great doing the play-by-play or whatever.
No, you were definitely the play. You were not the color. You were the play-by-play and the color.
But I enjoyed it. I mean, it's one thing. You know, you've been involved in something pretty much since you were old enough to walk, and then all of a sudden you step away from that. That's tough, and that was it was real fun to do. My wife kind of went overboard. She told everybody in our home, so they were all listening. So it upped the listening part of it.
We know we can sell ads on that. Raise a little money for the Arizona trip.
Yeah, that definitely. And it's something that I enjoyed. I hope I kind of tried to bring it along and try to help. I think I was a little bit too much bias on one side. I don't know if you're supposed to be unbiased in that, but knew the guys pretty well, so that definitely made it a lot funner.
Yeah, I know we appreciate it, and I'm sure the viewers appreciate it because we have very little wrestling knowledge.
Hopefully you're learning.
Yeah, there you go. We got to ask some questions, but what do you see ahead for the golf program in the future, say in 5 years? Where do you see the golf program?
Yeah, I'm excited. This year is probably one of our better recruiting classes as far as a group coming in early. I mean, the one thing that did wrestling, I had to transition from recruiting wrestling to golf, and it's a little different. I think any sport or any coach that's done more than one sport, you got to find that niche that makes it work for where you're at. And for golf, we need to do it earlier. We need to get out there earlier. So we were on, and right now we're looking at juniors for next year. So it seems the golfers decide a little earlier, especially with the women. They decide a lot earlier. So we're doing that aspect of it, and I think we got quality kids coming in. And the key is to, like you said, get that mold together that they like to be around each other, because if you're going to be good at anything, you're going to have to spend a lot of time in it. And golf is one of those things where you don't have them captured in a 90 by 40 room where you can talk to them. You go out there, you set a practice plan, you do a few things together, and you send them out, and hopefully they're practicing on the right things. And I like where we're going. We don't have a great amount of money to do a lot of different things, but I do think we're going to be successful within what we have.
With the upcoming spring season, touch on where the home meet will be if we are able to sneak one in, and kind of the exciting aspect of potentially having a little conference action in this area.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited about this. We've made a change. The first year that I was coaching, we did our home meet in the fall in Heart River, and then we did our spring meet in South Heart. And because we use both those courses, and we definitely want to support everybody around us and try to, because our athletes go and play these courses when they graduate, and they bring family up, they're out playing these courses. So it's a good benefit for everybody. This last year, we tried to make a pitch. We have 3 really great courses. Bully Pulpit out of Medora is a premier course in the state. So we wanted to try to incorporate that a little bit. So talked to Casey Mullen out there, and you worked out there in the club. So build that relationship, and he very supportive of having a meet out there. So we tried to work that out. We do not want to take away from Heart River or South Heart. So we were able to in the fall do our home meet one day at South Heart, one day at Heart River, which does a great job. And it doesn't take away from the memberships on both courses. Mm-hmm. You're only taking up one day as opposed to 2. So that worked out really nice. And we're in the spring, we're going to go to Bully Pulpit for our meet. And then our conference meet next year will be out at Bully Pulpit. And they've done a great job. And it's surprising. We get calls from teams that want to come in and play those courses. So I think we're trying to build a great schedule around home. Right now we have 3 home meets. And fan base, it's not like Augusta or anything, but it definitely is something that we have parents that come out and watch, and you can follow it a little different than high school. It's a little more relaxed, and in that aspect, as coaches, we can go up and help from everything from reading the putt to whatever, but except for swinging, which you probably wouldn't want to do that anyway. But that part of it, I think, our home meets, in the fall we have South Heart and Heart River, and in the spring we get to go to Medora this year. Hopefully.
Yeah, we'll see what the weather allows. DSUBlueHawks.com is where you can stay up to date on what the golf team is doing. And Coach, don't have too much fun in Arizona.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, Parker still gets to come down there.
Yeah, I haven't totally been excluded from the trip, but join us right after the break for an exclusive, slightly different Blue Feather feature.
Life is full of many successes, achievements, stages. Every year we grow, things change, and pretty soon we realize we want and need to do more. When you're ready for that next step, Dickinson State University will get you there. Find out how at dsublue.com.
All right, we're back for the Blue Feather feature. We're going to be interviewing none other than our very own Parker Robinson. Parker Robinson is not just a co-host of HawkTalk, but he's also a student athlete. So he's a benefactor of the Blue Feather Athletic Association, the fundraising body of our student athletes through the DSU Heritage Foundation. But Parker, let's hear what your major is, what year in school you are, and where you're from.
Yeah, I'm a communications major junior from Gardner, Montana, which is the gateway to Yellowstone.
Alrighty, gateway to Yellowstone. Yellowstone recently had a 100th anniversary, is that correct?
Yeah, the National Park Service, actually.
Excuse me.
Yellowstone went beyond the Park Service.
Okay. Well, the reason we're doing this week is I will be on the road next week interviewing at grad schools, kind of foreshadowing what the years to come will be, and Parker's going to be taking the reins as host, but before he does that, we gotta know more about him to make sure he's qualified to do this. So, what's your first Blue Hawk memory, Parker?
My first Blue Hawk memory, I came up here on a tour my senior year of high school in September. Loved the place, loved the campus, loved everyone around here, and just really liked the environment. So I guess that was my first experience, and about a month after that I signed my letter of intent.
What's your favorite Blue Hawk memory? It's been 3.5 years since that signed letter, so you've got a couple to choose from, but what's your favorite?
Yeah, probably conference baseball. We hosted that, so it was a lot of fun. The baseball team went on a run, as we know, that year, and put up a lot of runs, and Tesher hitting home runs and whatnot. And it was a lot of fun with the fans and on that side of things. Yeah.
What got you into communications? I think you came as a business student because I was a business student too, and you were asking me some things, but then you made the switch to the dark side. What inspired you to do that?
Yeah, just enjoying different things like HawkTalk and the broadcasting of games, and just kind of trying to work towards that. And so communications just kind of stood out as a good opportunity, and with all these other opportunities to grow into that.
All right, we heard from Coach O'Donnell, our coach, your coach now that I've since graduated, and I didn't ask him about your game, so we can't get into his game. But what's your favorite part about having Coach O'Donnell leading the team?
You know, he knows a lot about the area and just has a lot of experience in coaching in general, not necessarily in golf, but he's been around Dickinson State for a long time, so he knows a lot of coaching, football, basketball, wrestling, and golf. So just that experience that he's had has been really helpful in just a life sense.
What's your biggest pet peeve from something Coach O'Donnell does?
If you've ever seen him out on the golf course, he has a cart that's motorized. He calls it Wally.
You got to explain this a little better.
And it's not a cart that he rides in. It's a cart solely for his bag. So that is kind of like it's a little annoying to see Wally running into sand traps every once in a while.
That's my favorite part about Wally, but no, I understand what you mean there. What's the future hold for you? You got 1.5 years. Well, I shouldn't assume. Are you going to graduate in 4? And if so, what's kind of the map after that, if you have one?
Yeah, hopefully 1.5 years, and then likely grad school and trying to get into the broadcasting, sports, communication, that kind of thing.
You dabbled in a little bit of broadcasting this year. Touch on that experience.
Yeah, and this has been great. Great time at Consolidated here. So thanks to them for the experience that we both have gotten here, and then. With sports information, with Coach Watson calling the games, he's given us kind of that platform to experience that as well. So that's been really great.
All right, what would you tell a prospective student thinking about coming to Dickinson State?
You're not going to regret it. It's something that you may be unsure of at first, but once you get here and really experience things, you won't regret it. And I would say to make sure you go out and take those chances and experience different things. I joined Student Senate. I picked up a job as well. So just being involved in campus life, there's so much to offer there. So I'd say it's definitely an opportunity you should take.
What are you most nervous about being the sole host of HawkTalk?
You know, we have Coach Walker on next week, so I'm not. He was fairly personable in his first interview, so feel fairly comfortable with that. Yeah, so I don't think there's
No
too much
worries.
problems.
No
Yeah.
worries. All right, well, I should just get out of here.
Unless we need to call out anyone for.
Well, we do have Jamestown coming up that next week, so I don't want you to get too. It's probably good that I'm gone and can't touch on the Jimmies. But Parker, thanks for the interview and good luck next week. Like we talked about, Parker will be taking the reins. Coach Walker will be in studio discussing conference track and field that's coming up next weekend. Jamestown coming to town for basketball, men's and women's, so we'll hear from one of our basketball coaches as well. Those could potentially be conference championship games next week. If the Blue Hawks take care of business this weekend at Dakota State, both teams would control their destiny for at least a share of the North Star title. So make sure you're in Scott Gymnasium Friday and Saturday, Jamestown on Friday, Presentation College on Saturday. That's next week. Mark your schedules for that, and be sure to tune in and see how Parker does hosting HawkTalk.